You know what I think? I've never seen a luckier person than Donald Trump. Just as we're this close to getting him, but somehow these documents appear.
Hey, what's going on, folks? The View suggests that Republicans might have set up Joe Biden because they just can't fathom that he would make the mistake himself.
Here's the thing, Biden is wrong to have done this. He was in office for 40 years.
Let's find out what this is first. Now, again.
We'll watch that full clip and laugh at those people. Merrick Garland says he's putting together a special counsel to look into the Biden stuff.
Earlier today, I signed an order appointing Robert Hur as special counsel for the matter I've just described. The document authorizes him to investigate whether any person or entity violated the law in connection with this matter. The special counsel will not be subject to the day-to-day supervision of any official of the department, but he must comply with the regulations, procedures, and policies of the department.
I'm sure Democrats are so embarrassed after they made such a huge scene about Trump that Biden got caught doing it also. And then I want to talk about the gas stove controversy because some are saying that it's toxic for kids and causing asthma and they're trying to go with the health angle, but their message is also getting a little sloppy because then they're saying, well, it's for green energy and climate change. Is it the health hazard, climate change? Are you trying to say both? Well, now the Biden administration is saying they're not banning them after the massive backlash.
Gas stove thing that kind of bubbled up yesterday. Does the White House think gas stoves are safe? And I know that the Consumer Product Safety Commission said today that they're not looking to ban gas stoves, but I'm wondering, was there communication between the White House?
So as far as the safety piece of it, it's not something for us to answer from here. I would refer you to the Consumer Product Safety Commission. As the chair said today, and I quote, research indicates that emissions from gas stoves can be hazardous, and the CPSC is looking for ways to reduce related indoor air quality hazards. But to be clear, I am not looking to ban gas stoves, and the CPSC has no proceedings to do so. Look, as far as our conversation to your question, we are in regular touch with them. But of course, they are an independent. They were independently correcting the record on this for several days now.
We'll watch that video too, and we gotta watch Joe Biden explaining why it's semi-okay that he took classified documents because he had them in his garage near his Corvette. I mean, that sounds like a safe location.
Next to your Corvette? What were you thinking?
Let me, I'm going to get a chance to speak on all this, God willing, soon. But as I said earlier this week, people, and by the way, my Corvette's in a locked garage.
Should be a funny show today. Starts now. Welcome to the Dream Rare Podcast. Thanks to all supporting.
It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's episode of the Dream Rare Podcast. And I have a few stories today. I want to talk about what's going on with Joe Biden, laugh at the View real quick. Then I want to talk about the gas stove thing and just an interesting angle on that. But before we do that, let's react to The View. If you've never seen The View, it's a collective of the smartest women on the planet. They scoured every continent. They went to every island. We had our best explorers of all races and religions look on Earth to find the smartest women that they possibly could have found ever. And this was the collective they came up with: Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, and the other irrelevance. This is their take on Joe Biden getting caught with classified documents. You know, Trump is lucky, and, maybe the Republicans planted it. Let's take a watch.
You know what I think? I've never seen a luckier person than Donald Trump. Just as we're this close to getting him, but somehow these documents appear.
But here's the thing, Biden is wrong to have done this. He was in office for 40 years.
Let's find out what this is first. Now, again, one of the things that gets me crazy is before we know, it's already been spun a specific way. I don't want to see that.
All of a sudden, Whoopi Goldberg is like Socrates. She's like, what is this? She sounds like Jordan Peterson debating a Muslim. Like, what is God? What does what mean? Do? What does do mean? She's like, before we weigh in on this, what is it though? What are we talking about here? I don't know. Do you have that? Do you exercise that patience when it's like a conservative or a Republican person with a scandal? Do you exercise that same Taoist, Buddhist, patience and focus. What is it though? Before we even speak on it, I'm sure you do that with every topic, Whoopi. Congrats.
I don't want to see that. I want to see someone explain to me, A, how it's possible that after all this time, nobody knew this. Because to me, if you're missing classified information, I don't mean to laugh, but in my house, if stuff is missing, I know it's missing.
Does it feel like Oppo research to you? Does it feel like the Republicans are behind it?
It's not.
It did originally, but I'm sorry, but not now. Because one of the things he's saying is that, you know, some of the locations where the docs may have been shipped in the transition may have gotten taken and put, but still.
Whoopi Goldberg's like, I don't understand how the classified documents could have been taken in my house. When something's missing, we realize it. It's like, Whoopi Goldberg, we all have houses or whatever. It's like you having something missing from your house might be a lot different than, I don't know, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of documents spanning like hundreds of years. You know, is that not different from like a fork missing from your cabinet? Like she's trying to relate. Like, I don't even think it's possible because in my house, when something's missing, it's missing. So how did they not know? There's so many documents, but it's interesting that one of the documents was about Ukraine, and apparently it was taken by Joe Biden when he was a vice president, and it's in his garage with a Corvette. I mean, those women, you know, I have a high self-esteem. So, you know, I don't have a big ego, but I do like myself. I do think I'm smart. You know, often I have to check my ego, and I watch The View and I think, you know, right when I thought I was impressive and funny and smart, these gorgeous, you know, beautiful, intelligent women just put me right back in my place. It's like, yeah, no, that's why they get the big bucks. I could never do what they do. So shout out to those thrilling, intellectual, you know, heavyweights. Good luck. Actually, I call them sometimes like four harpies yelling at each other because it's just like screaming women. But somebody watches that show. I don't know who it is, not me. Maybe it was opposition research. Donald Trump got lucky. They just can't fathom that they're hypocrites and they don't want to, you know, use that same energy for Biden. Anyway, Joe Biden got asked by Peter Doocy about what's going on there, and his response was pretty interesting and kind of funny, and I just want to laugh today. So let's take a look.
Mr. President,
Okay.
Classified material next to your Corvette. What were you thinking?
Let me, I'm going to get a chance to speak on all this, God willing, soon. But as I said earlier this week, people, and by the way, my Corvette's in a locked garage. Okay, so it's not like you're sitting out in the street.
So
but anyway,
was in a locked garage.
Yes, as well as my Corvette. But as I said earlier this week, people know I take classified documents and classified material seriously. I also said we're cooperating fully and completely with the Justice Department's review. As part of that process, my lawyers reviewed other places where documents from my time as vice president were stored, and they finished the review last night. They discovered a small number of documents of classified markings in storage areas and file cabinets in my home and my personal library. This was done in the case of the Biden Penn. This was done in the case of the Biden Penn Center. The Department of Justice was immediately, as was done, the Department of Justice was immediately notified, and the lawyers arranged for the Department of Justice to take possession of the document. So we're going to see all this unfold. I'm confident. Thank you very much.
This was found in my cabinet. All this information was found in my cabinet. It was in my cabinet, and I handed it over to the proper officials. See, you got. And then he just like, it's just so embarrassing. Someone said dog and pony show. Yeah, I think it's a clown show, mostly a distraction, not getting to anything. The special counsel appointee for Merrick Garland, who he just looks pissed all the time. I don't know what's up with that guy, Merrick Garland, but I get he has a stressful job being, you know, sneaky and everything. But, you know, he always just looks like he reminds me of the Arthur meme. If you've ever seen the Arthur meme where his fist is clenched and he's just like pissed off, like just Merrick Garland, like somebody I'm not going to say he needs drugs because I don't think anybody needs drugs, but something to loosen the guy up. You know what I'm saying? Maybe like a hot tub, a sauna or something. Guy's a little too tight. It's not healthy, but I'm sure he's been, quintuplet vaccinated, so I'm sure he'll be fine. Anyway, special counsel appointee was Robert K. Hur. Who is this guy? Some people are already saying it's going to go nowhere. I'm guessing that's the betting odds, like they never do anything. But apparently Robert is a American attorney who served as the U.S. Attorney District of Maryland from 2018 to 2021. And as a lot of Republicans I hear saying he's like a setup, he's never going to investigate. An interesting angle to this, in my opinion, is on November 1st, 2017, the guy who's doing the special counsel on Biden now, was nominated by President Donald Trump to be the next U.S. attorney for the District of Maryland. So I think if Republicans say, oh, this guy's not going to do anything, it's like, then why did Donald Trump appoint him? You know what I'm saying? It's just like another clown show. It's like General Milley, Christopher Wray. It's just getting weird where it's like, obviously Biden and the Democrats are always guilty of what they're accusing others of doing. But then it's like the people involved aren't just Democrats. Like, it's not just like only Democrats work with this guy. Trump hired him. So if he does nothing, like, once again, another Republican failure of some sort. But, whatever. My take on it before I move on is it's quite the distraction, but it is funny. I just thought it was kind of hilarious. So it's like at least there's value in comedy. If you laugh, it's never a bad time. And I laugh at these people, so it makes my day a little better. The View, jokes aside, they're dumb. Merrick Garland, he's angry. And Joe Biden's stupid and fake. And I just am slightly enjoying the fact that they were trying to make such a big deal of Donald Trump taking classified documents and also kind of use it to stop him from running for office. So now that Biden also got caught with him, for sure it's going to stop them from doing, like, this is the best thing, kind of like Joy Behar said, honestly. This is the best thing that could have happened for Trump. I don't think he's lucky, though. It's not like he's lucky that Joe Biden took the documents like 10 years ago. It's just that's what a lot of presidents do, and you pretended to care about it for Trump, and now it's all backfiring. So I think the biggest winner in this story is probably President Donald Trump, because they're ace in the hole. They always have one, it seems like, if it's not completely fake and just a total sideshow, which it probably could be as well. They always have this like yearly narrative, like Russia collusion, this, that, insurrection. And this was the new narrative to stop Trump. And now that Biden's been caught, I think, they're going to fall short of that. And Trump's going to run as he should be able to. I mean, if Trump wins or loses the next election to DeSantis, Rand Paul, or God forbid, Joe Biden or Gavin Newsom, let's hope not. But, Trump should lose by his own merit, not by them kicking him out. So the real winner is the Republican Party and Donald Trump here. Merrick Garland, I think, is probably embarrassed. Joe Biden should be embarrassed. Karine Jean-Pierre is not good at her job, but I feel like it's like, karma from God. And I know people say God doesn't do karma because karma is like, otherworldly, but it's just a word. Like what comes around goes around. That's just a word I use. But, Karine Jean-Pierre used to run around left-wing media saying racist, racist, everything's racist, racist, racist. And now she has to work. She has the worst job in the world. She has to pretend like Joe Biden makes sense and cover for Joe Biden. So I feel like that's God's way of like plucking her from her crying racism and being like, now you have to pretend like Joe Biden's a good person for 3 years. And she seems like she's struggling. Like every word is hard for her. She's like stumbling. She's blinking a lot. Like I can't help but laugh when she talks because she's not good at her job. But it's hard to feel bad for her because it's like, that's what you deserve. It's like getting captured by like a foreign country and they do like Chinese water torture to you. And you're like, oh, this sucks. That, in my opinion, another form of Chinese water torture is having to pretend like Joe Biden makes sense for 3 years. Because she gets off work and she's like, why am I doing this? Like, why do I know he doesn't make sense, but I have to pretend like he does. And before we move on, I find that it's kind of like the weirdest job in the world is like the press secretary, because it's basically like the president, whether it's Trump or Biden, whoever, doesn't want to like speak for themselves. And then they just have someone speak for them. I guess I get they're busy. They have other things to do, but it's like, when, what was the blonde girl's name? Kayleigh McEnany, who did a pretty good job or a very good job. Her job wasn't to be herself. Her job was to be Trump. So it's like, you're not allowed to be yourself. You have to be Donald Trump. That's your job. You're representing the Trump administration. And now Karine Jean-Pierre is representing the Biden administration. She's not allowed to be herself. She would love to scream racism, but she can't because she has to be Biden. So I just think it's a funny position. Like, you're basically just like pretending to be someone else, but I guess that's the most efficient way to have a president not have to speak or when they're busy. I don't know. I just find it funny that that's the position. Like, I would never do that. It's like, you have to pretend like you're someone else for 3 years and just like make excuses for them, even though it wasn't your fault. No thanks, pass. I'd rather do literally anything else. On that note, I want to talk about the gas stove thing, because to some it's a non-story, but I thought of an interesting angle. So I just want to show you guys real quick, because there's, like with a lot of stuff, and hopefully we can start waking people up, moderates, independents, some Democrats, hopefully, because you wake people up by showing them the truth and showing compassion. You don't wake people up by saying, oh, I don't care, I'm just going to, destroy the planet. Like, that's not that doesn't hit hard. You want to explain to people you love the planet too. You love, the rainforest. Like, you're not trying to kill everything. It's just like, you're trying to tell the truth. So in my opinion, that's where a lot of people on the right fall short. They just like, I don't care. And it's like, try to explain to these people what's going on. So anyway, you can see this is Bloomberg. It says, U.S. safety agency considers to ban gas stoves amid health fears. They said they're not in the Biden administration, but the reason was the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission will move to regulate gas stoves as new research links them to childhood asthma. But then here you see greener living. So, the real reason they're going to they're not doing it now, but they're thinking about putting that out there to ban gas stoves would be for childhood asthma and health-related problems. They think when you turn the gas on, it creates a health hazard in your apartment or house or wherever you live. Here's what I'll say. It's hard for me to trust these people, because a lot of the same people and politicians that are pushing that gas stoves are so unhealthy for your body and your physics are the same ones that have no problem with pesticides spraying all over the things. They have no problem with lockdowns. They have no problem with mandates. So it's just hard for me to be like, if you really care about health and like the emissions from, gas stoves hurting people's lungs, why don't you care about the pesticides being sprayed? Or, so it's hard for me to think that maybe there is a health issue if like your gas is on too much or something. I can't imagine that's good to inhale. But at the same time, they're so sloppy that they're getting their narrative mixed up. And it's like, is it a health problem or is it a climate change problem? And you see here, this is, I don't know who this is, just somebody who responded to Chef Gruel. His name is Steelhoof with the parentheses around his name. But he said, I hate cooking on electric stoves, but the climate matters more. My son told me the other day that the gas burns clean, but the leakage of gas in home cooking is exceptionally polluting. And he's like, we need to end gas use for climate change. So it's like and then you have Scott Wiener, whatever, that gay guy from San Francisco who's a Democrat, the one who's like super skinny and always doing weirdo bills. But anyway, he's like, oh, it's toxic for your body. So it's like the Democrats are pushing that it's actually bad for your body and inhaling. But the Democrat base is so brainwashed that they think it's because of climate change. And then the Bloomberg's pushing the green energy thing. So first of all, on the green energy thing, we need to talk about where electricity comes from in the first place. I mean, a lot of my followers know this because they're not dumb. But to those who never heard this, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, most of the nation's electricity was generated by natural gas, nuclear energy, and coal in 2020. Notice the first one is natural gas. Gas makes the electricity and coal makes the electricity. Yes, nuclear as well. But you have left-wing countries like Germany trying to get rid of nuclear, which is actually clean energy, and then they don't know how to get gas, and then they're saying electricity. Where do you think the electricity comes from, dummy? If you get rid of the nuclear energy, it's coming from coal and natural gas. Where do you get your natural gas? You don't know where to get. The left wing has, I know my audience, I'm preaching to the choir, but they don't make any sense. So I think it's important to point out that the reason they're trying to ban this is not for climate change. It's just, it's health hazard, which they obviously don't care about. Kids are getting fatter. They're providing, the American Pediatric Group was saying 12-year-olds should take medication, 13-year-olds should get surgery. Oh yeah, they really care about your health. Spraying pesticides, it's so fake. So my personal guess is something more devious. They're trying to get away from gas and go to electric cars and things that are on the grid. Epoch Times recently put an article out, and I believe this came out a month ago as well, that Biden's putting kill switches in cars. Like they're trying to put kill switches in every car and be able to turn your car off. Google that, Biden kill switch. That's really happening, or they're trying to make that happen. California is trying to ban gas sale cars by 2035. So what's really going on here? In my opinion, just like with COVID-19, it was a perfect way to exert control. They said, there's this virus. It's the invisible enemy. I remember Donald Trump kept saying that. It's the invisible enemy. How convenient. We can't see it. So, what can you really do about something you can't see? We can't see it, but we have to close down schools and beaches and print a bunch of money and inflate the things, and billionaires have to make more money, and like Target needs to make money, but your shop. What a convenient narrative of something that you can't really measure. And by the time the data comes in and we all figure it out, it's already too late. It's like 3 months in and they've already done all the damage, and it's hard to, unravel. So with climate change, although I like to say this is my personal narrative. Everybody has theirs. I don't say climate change isn't real. Here's what I say. I say it is real because the climate changes all the time. If the climate didn't change, that means something's wrong. Like when the sun goes up, the climate changes. When the sun goes down, the climate changes. Winter, the climate changes. Summer, the climate changes. The ice caps don't just sit there at a net zero. They melt, they grow. Antarctica, the ice sheets grow. Same with the coral reef. They said, oh, it's dying, it's dying, it's dying. This year, the Great Barrier Reef, it came out that the Great Barrier Reef was actually growing because life, that's how it moves. It goes like the tide goes up, the tide goes down. So the climate is actually always changing, but how they use it is they basically say everything's climate change now. And I pray that Democrats and younger kids wake up to this, because I believe I'm a true environmentalist. I think the water should be clean. I think the oceans should be clean. I think we should do our best job on Earth to protect what we can. Like who wants to go to the Grand Canyon and just have garbage everywhere? So environmentalism is important, but we need to tell these Democrat kids, not we don't care, not that we're trying to destroy the ocean because we want a gas car. We need to tell them that they're being lied to, they're being manipulated, and the people manipulating them are actually trying to stop them from saving the oceans or cleaning the water. Some of the most disgusting cities are like climate change cities. San Francisco is disgusting, filled with people pushing the climate change narrative. Los Angeles, New York, these are disgusting cities. And I understand there's a lot of people there, but it doesn't have to be that disgusting. How are they going to clean the whole world if they can't even clean their own city? Some of the most disgusting oceans in America are in Los Angeles. Why? Because these people are full of it, and they're actually trying to control you to stop you from cleaning the water, cleaning the oceans. And a bunch of these NGOs and pop-up groups, when you really look into them, they're not who they say they are. They're controlled opposition to a sense to get you to do nothing and run in circles. So we need to tell the kids, not we're uncompassionate, not we don't care. We do care, and the people that are controlling them do not actually care. And if you Google climate change with any word, you could probably find an article about it. They're now trying to say climate change is the reason people are getting fatter. Climate change is the reason people are less healthy. When it floods, it's climate change. When it's a drought, it's climate change. When it's too hot, it's global warming. When it's too cold, it's climate change. When the ice caps melt, it's climate change. When they grow, it's climate change. It's like everything could be climate change, because it would be like me saying like everybody fits on a spectrum. Like, every person is a color, and I just have like a whole color scale. It's like, that's got every color in it. It's like, exactly. Yeah. So everybody's in it. Like, it's something that can be anything. So they're going to use the climate change narrative to push an agenda of control. And that doesn't mean that the climate's not changing, but you see in certain areas, like there's record cold fronts, and now there's like mudslides, and people are like, well, maybe that's it's like everything could be climate change. So they're gonna push their agenda of control on cars, on stoves, on people's lives, on taxes. I mean, that's the biggest scam total. Oh, if you give us your money, we'll tax carbon. Everybody needs to pay the government and we'll fix the taxes. I call it a conspiracy theory. I say, I'm not into conspiracy theories, and the dumbest conspiracy theory is that Joe Biden, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Justin Trudeau, England, a bunch of losers in Europe, the World Economic Forum, Greta Thunberg, and these others, all of these people are going to come together, take your money, and change the climate of the earth. It sounds like a stupid superhero movie. At least Superman and Batman are cool. Like, Joe Biden's going to take your money and change the climate of earth? No, he's not. It's not, And here's the crazy part about climate change is the one thing that they actually have the technology to do, they act like it's a conspiracy theory, which is weather modification and manipulation. If you go back to certain documents, I forget the name of the operation, but the U.S. government is on record changing the climate and making it rain in Vietnam and in other places around the world during war. This is on Wikipedia. This is mainstream information. You could find this in the New York Times. I believe Seymour Hersh wrote about it like 30, 40, 50 years ago. I have all this like programmed into my head at this point because I've done research for the last 5 years. You could Google weather modification, New York Times, Seymour Hersh. I bet you find an article about how they changed the weather in Vietnam. If you Google Forbes China Alaska-sized rain technology, you'll find a Forbes article from a couple years ago that says that China has the weather technology to change the climate or to make it rain on an area the size of Alaska. Alaska is the biggest state in the country, even bigger than Texas. So if China has the technology to make it rain, if Bill Gates a decade or so ago patented the technology to stop hurricanes and to lower hurricanes, if the United States has been making it rain for 40, 50 years, they make fun of Marjorie Taylor Greene and call her an anti-Semite because she said something about like Jewish space lasers. I missed that whole part and I don't know what she said and I don't really care, but you could find mainstream media reporting about space laser technology like 10 years ago. Today with Julius put it on his Twitter. And it was basically like a news report. I don't know if it was CBS or one of the mainstream. They were talking about possibly in the future having the technology to change the weather with lasers. I'm not saying they have it now, but they do have weather technology. So I'm trying to wake up the left-wing kids who've been brainwashed. You're being controlled by people that aren't protecting the ocean. There's no longer any movements to clean the water and clean the ocean. Where are these movements? They've all been swallowed alive by political operative groups that are just telling everyone climate change, take our money, climate change, this. You're not cleaning the water. You're not cleaning the ocean. You're not protecting the forest. You're not cleaning up, trash from the ground. You've been co-opted. You've been deceived. And it doesn't mean that the climate's not changing, but you're talking about the climate changing, yet they never talk about weather modification technology. It's like, what is your group? It's being controlled. The ozone too. Yeah. It's like, I mean, it was growing. I don't know what's going on with the ozone layer, but long story short, this is just my last take. Cause I always try to be effective. I mean, whatever the saying is, you could bring a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Everyone's not going to believe you. You can't wake everybody up, unfortunately, to topics you care about. But one thing I think that people can do on the conservative side or the truther side or whatever you want to call yourself is don't just look at these like 19-year-old kids and say, you guys are idiots. And, basically like, we don't care. Even Andrew Tate's like Greta Thunberg tweet, in my opinion, wasn't tactical, maybe for his own attention, but not really. And I'm not trying to dunk on Andrew when he's down, but he's like, I don't care. I have a bunch of Bugattis. I'm going to destroy the environment. Ha 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 ha. Like, it's funny, I guess, and you could get a lot of attention off it because Greta is a big name. But really, that's why left-wing kids are environmentalists. I know because I used to be like into that stuff. I used to believe Leonardo DiCaprio. I used to believe Neil Tyson Bison, grass-fed Tyson Bison, whatever. I used to believe these people. So I have compassion for the person I used to be because I know why I believe them. I would look at right-wingers and adults and they wouldn't tell me, oh, that's wrong. They'd just be like, we don't care. Who cares? And it's like, you don't sound very compassionate. You sound like greedy. So we got to let the kids know we're not greedy. We're not trying to destroy the environment. The people that are controlling your movement are destroying the environment. They destroy our major cities. When the trash in Los Angeles is all over the place because they're too stupid, the Democrats, to fix homelessness and all the crap all over the streets, where do you think that goes when it rains? I would not go in the ocean in Venice Beach yesterday or 2 days ago because when it rains, all that goes out into the ocean. It kills animals. What do you think happened from all the masks? What do you think happened to all these disgusting little diaper-faced boys that you put on your face? Where do they all? There's billions of them in the ocean. So the environmentalists have been brainwashed by the system to pollute more, to live in the most disgusting cities, to be too stupid to clean their own cities. And you guys are destroying the environment while you're being co-opted to take people's money and give it to a billionaire elitist class that isn't doing jack, and so much of the climate change narrative is anti-America. I get it. We have a big country. We have a lot of people. But if you look at some of the dirtiest rivers and biggest pollutions, India, Africa, China, And I don't know the exact break off of it, but I think a lot of the most dirtiest, most polluted waters are in India and Africa, from what I remember. And some of the most polluted skies are in China. They estimate that a couple million people die every year just in certain Chinese cities from the air pollution. So it's like, how come they don't talk about that? How come Greta's always talking about capital? Because, she's young, and I understand she's autistic, and I love autistic people. So even though Greta and me disagree on politics, I have a soft spot for her because I just think autistic people are based and, usually epic and doing a lot of cool stuff. But in general, it's like she's always picking on like Western civilization and, oh, it's the capital. Like, why don't you talk about China? Why don't you talk about India? Why don't you talk about Africa? Why don't, I understand that she's got her gig and she's doing what she's doing. And it's not optically good to like pick a fight with a 19-year-old or something. You just kind of look like a hater, even if you're not. But in general, it's like we got to get through to these kids and let them know we're not greedy. We're not trying to just destroy Earth. You're being lied to. You're being manipulated. And if you look at a lot of these narratives, they don't make sense. In California, you have to understand when all these forest fire happens, go look at certain LA Times articles and articles from 5-6 years ago. You could find a chart of how many dead trees they're leaving and how little they're logging because the environmentalists don't want to kill a bug species. So they stop logging. The chart of like dead trees went like this to this. It went from like a couple million. I don't know the exact numbers off my head, but I think it went to like 100 million, 200 million. I don't know what it was, whatever it was at least like times 5, times 10, times 20, times 100, whatever that number was. It went way up. And when you have a bunch of dead trees, even in that article, it said it's like a tinderbox. You know what I'm saying? You're basically like asking for a bigger fire. So they let the trees die. They don't clean them up because all the environmentalists are backwards. Now they got like 100 times more dead trees in the forest. A fire starts. Probably a lot of them are started from homeless people and crackheads because they're all over California. Sometimes they're even setting like plastic facilities on fire, which has nothing to do with the climate. It's just too many freaking idiots on the street just drugged up. And then the fire blows out because there's all these trees everywhere. And then all the politicians do is scream climate change because they get more money. And then they declare an emergency. Oh, we declare an emergency. Now we get money. Now we get power. Now we take no responsibility. And the left wingers eat it up. I understand the two-party system is a trap. I understand Republican leadership sucks. I understand, we don't really have like a good leader on the right that I see for the most part. But really, the left does need to wake up a little bit because at least if they woke up out of this spell they're in, we could have real conversations. I feel like we could get a lot more done if the left got smarter. It's really a tragedy because you got to understand historically, there was good points that certain liberals were making like 10, 20 years ago. Like Noam Chomsky, to his credit, used to be really good on free speech. They used to ask him about like Holocaust denial and like crazy stuff that like people wanted to make illegal. And even him as a Jewish professor would say, hey, I don't agree with that, but I agree with your right to say it and not go to jail. And you used to have activists ticked off at him. I don't really like Noam Chomsky that much. I think he's aged. I mean, he's almost like 100 or something, but he used to make good points about media manipulation and free speech. He used to take a lot of metaphorical arrows for the Constitution. And now you're hard pressed to find a liberal that believes in free speech. Like, what happened to the left wing? So yes, it's important to talk to each other and stuff, but we got to wake people up because, sadly, the two wings of the bird are, that is our country. And if the one wing is like down here, I would say Republicans have woken up a lot. Like, I would say the Republicans of 2001, it's not the same movement. You got a lot of truthers, a lot of people deep diving, a lot of people questioning the establishment. Like, Republicans have improved to a certain extent over the last 10 years. And Democrats, it's just tanked so down. It's like a broken wing. It's like I don't personally want to sit here and just make fun of you guys all the time. It's funny, but it's sad because the truth is when you got 80 million people this distracted, like you want to spend 4 years on Donald Trump's tax returns and you want everyone to be quadruple boosted and you want to force mass children and they're getting fatter and you want to it's not that funny. Like, you guys got to wake up a little bit because you're really tanking like the side of discussion. And maybe the way to do this, I don't have all the answers, but when someone sees someone that's somewhat reasonable, that's what can break someone out of the spell. I remember when I had a video of like, I didn't vote for Donald Trump in 2016, but here's why he's not that bad. That was one of my most successful videos. I found people that work at Democrat media for Democrat puppets. And they said, my dad, who works for this person, I'm not going to name who, used to watch CNN. Now he watches Fox. And I said, I don't even watch Fox. And I'm not telling your parents to watch Fox, but that's a slight improvement. Like, they went from left wing to right wing just because they saw my video, because I wasn't yelling at them. I was trying to be compassionate. Like, this is true. When I was 20, whatever, I didn't vote for Donald Trump in 2016. I voted third party. But, and sometimes that gets through to people, because it's like, well, he's not just yelling at me like Sean Hannity, and that's what I think about environmentalism. It's like, don't play this game of we don't care, nah, ha, 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 ha. It's fun, but it's not effective. Get through to these kids. They're not, just remember, all these kids 18 to 24, first of all, in 5 to 10 years, they're going to be operating our country. So God help these people, and God help us for living here. But you have to understand, when you're that age, you're not even fully developed. So we can't just hate on these people and be like, oh my gosh, like they're so it's like, they're going to be running this crap in 5 years. So let's understand that they've been lied to. They've been deceived. The culture has co-opted them. They've been tricked. They've been bamboozled. And let's try to get the message to them. So, hopefully they don't stay that way forever. Because I think naturally people become more conservative when they grow up. But at this rate, these kids probably won't. Let's see. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I just want to say a few things. I'll read a few comments, then I'll take off. These blue hats, I think we have like 100 left. There's black hats that I would wear more, but I can't find my black hat. I must have like left it somewhere or something. But all the black hats are sold out. So thank you guys who bought the black beanies, made in America, good quality. I'm about to order a couple hundred more. One of my favorite products I have is the black beanie. I like the blue one too, obviously, but the beanies are good. They're comfortable. If you have a big head, I think it's not like constricting. Sometimes there's like the tight ones that hurt your head. I passed up on like 5 of those to get these ones. We're going to work on other products and stuff too, but get a blue beanie if you want while they're here. And we're about to order a couple hundred black ones because they sold out. Thanks to everybody who bought one at dreamrare.com. Thanks to everybody who's listening to Dream Rare podcast. And someone told me, like, Anomaly, I haven't seen your Facebook video in like a year. I don't know what Facebook's doing. I think they're definitely, I used to get like 6,000 live viewers. So something's going on, whether it's directed personally at me or they're just like moving on to like a new algorithm. But if you want to get all my videos, I would say you could go to my YouTube channel, my Telegram. There's ways to find the videos, or just check my Facebook. But dreamrarelinks.com has all my links. I have a BitChute page. We have 2 million views there. Rumble, everything, Telegram. So dreamrarelinks.com. I believe you could find it at the bottom. Let me see. Maybe not. I don't know. Is it down there? I can't see. Yeah, there it is. See, dreamrarelinks.com, and you can find it. Someone said I got my royal blue beanie. I like it. I'm very picky. I'll tell you this too before I leave. I might have some sponsor offers this year. I'd rather just do my own shop, but I'm so picky. Like, I'm not like, everything that people throw in my face, I don't just like sell it. I like, if someone gives me a coffee, I have to try it. I have to read the ingredients. Like, I have to talk to the company. I'm not out here just hawking anything. So understand with my hats and stuff, like I passed up on 5 hats. I'm not just it's made in America. It fits my head. I think I have a big head, and I don't like the ones that like feel like they're just cramping on your head. Like this one I could wear for 5 hours and it doesn't hurt. Other hats I wear for 20 minutes and it feels like someone's squeezing my head. So I chose this one carefully, and it's this, and the sweatshirts were my favorite product. I think the sweatshirts were fire and expensive, unfortunately, for me and the people, but it was not the best cash grab for me because they cost so much in bulk. But man, those were good quality, those and the hats. So, and the regular hats are good too, but I just like the beanie. Someone said, Anomaly, the dude from California, is a homosexual. It's not true, but you're talking you're talking about Scott Wiener, right? I don't know. I think you're talking about the California person. I thought you were saying I was homosexual, but either way, it's kind of funny. Someone said, but you're secretly trying to get someone to watch CNN, right? No. When I post a CNN link, like I'll post like a CNN screenshot where like, Joe Biden, whatever it is, like his files, the classified documents. Sometimes I just screenshot CNN just because they said it or they broke the story. And I don't really care whose screenshot it is. It's just like Fox News, CNN. It doesn't, obviously I like Fox more than CNN, but if I'm just screenshotting stuff, I don't think I've ever told anyone to watch CNN. I would never watch CNN for more than 3 minutes purposely. I just screenshot stuff. And the reason in the comments, if you're asking, I said, sign up to my free email list or read this full article on CNN if you want. The reason is because I just kind of have ethics to the point where if I'm going to screenshot someone's article, you have to understand that they would rather me, whether it's Fox News, Epic Times, CNN, anyone, they would rather you just post it because they want to get the clicks. So if I'm screenshotting it, they're not getting any clicks. Even if it's anybody, I just felt like saying that, where it's like, you know, is a whole article there and there's other articles. So I just said, read it if you want or don't. But I just, you know, try to tell people like, yeah, I'm just kind of screenshotting. So I'm sure they're not thrilled. Sometimes I do things for like liability reasons too. I don't know the rules, but I try to stay within it. But same with when I do, like, if I play a video from Fox or CNN that's like 3 minutes long, if you notice, I usually chop it into multiple parts. It's because if you do it for more than like 40, 50 seconds, a lot of times they like restrict it and they say you can't do it, but there's some sort of rule. If you can keep it under a certain amount of time, that they won't give you like a copyright warning. So stuff like that, that's why I do it. It's not because I want people to watch CNN. Yeah, CNN's the worst, MSNBC. I mean, everything's bad. I like Tucker Carlson. He's the only one that I find funny. I don't really like Hannity. Laura Ingram's cool. She had me on one time. I appreciate that. But, you know, I don't own a TV, so I don't really know what's going on there. I'm more into like podcasts. Am I effective? I mean, I would like to think so. I think there's people that can do a better job and a worse job, but I definitely think I've helped a lot of people learn certain things. But I'll leave on this note because I want to keep this pretty short. Everybody's kind of feeling, at least I feel this year, like, yes, there's a lot of improvements going on, but after 2020, Joe Biden, like, things are not necessarily going in the right direction. So I think a lot of people have this feeling of like, how can I be more effective? You know, because in general, it's like, yeah, everybody knows Fauci's corrupt and everybody knows this, but like, how do we get something done? And I'm open to suggestions. Like I've been trying to focus on the food quality and certain things that I think I could hone in on and maybe just take topic by topic and have an impact. But that is the question. When you have 20 million people that know something, but nothing gets done because you have two parties and they're both kind of controlled and nothing ever gets done, you know, I'm not opposed to ideas and, you know, suggestions or people kind of going above and beyond what I'm doing and paving a path where I'm like, oh, that's a better way. But, you know, I have my methods of like what I'm doing. And on Instagram and Facebook, I think, you know, I'll just tell you openly, I think I try to make people laugh purposely because I'm funny, but also comedy is important. Like if you just watch the news and you're just getting angry, like that's not good, no matter what they're saying. So if you could like lighten people up, like let them feel good about it, have a joke, I think there's a lot of value there. And also I think, you know, I'm not trying to be people's only news source. I do what inspires me every day. I work harder than most people in this space. And that's what it is. I find clips like everything I do is inspired by what I see on Twitter, etc., or what I see on social media. And I kind of just like make my own sort of narrative and presentation and then go from there. But I'm not trying to be your only news source. I'm not trying to be like a lot of times people leave great comments and I'm like, oh, I should have thought of that before I did my live stream. Like, you know, people build on that. A lot of times the comment section could be great. So I'm not trying to be people's whole world, whole thing. I'm one person, one idea. Maybe I could spark your mind, inspire you, get you to do something. My Instagram page, I'm not trying to like jam it down people's throat. I'm trying to get things that make people think on the other side too. So sometimes some people will be like, oh, that's too weak or this. It's like people who agree with me already agree with me. I could talk to myself all day, but who cares? Like, so a lot of my Instagram videos have like 800,000 views, 700,000 views. I can see the analytics. They have 50,000 shares, 70,000 shares. There's people sharing it with their liberal friends. And I'll tell you, I've met liberal people that are like, I don't like a lot of conservatives, but you know, I tried to poke holes in your argument, but I couldn't really find it because I'm trying to be so calculated with what I do. So I'm not someone out here that's just trying to be not effective. Like I think about everything I do. All my moves are calculated and I have a method to what I do. Is it the best? I mean, I think it's definitely top notch, but is there a better way to do it? Are there people organizing and doing stuff? I hope so, because I'm not trying to be the only person or the only thing. So if you think I'm being effective, I appreciate it. If you think I'm not effective, I'm open to other ways. And I want to say this, like, I'm not, my worldview and how I think and stuff is constantly impacted by the people around me. So I'm not one of these people that's like, this is what you have. Like, I hope people have other interests. I hope people listen to other people. I hope there's other influencers out there that are filling in holes of stuff that I'm not saying, because I don't think it's even possible to cover everything or to do everything you want. So hopefully you enjoy that. And I know for myself, I like, I don't even like to listen to politics that much. I try to make it fun, because a lot of politics is not fun to me. So if I'm not having fun with it and I'm just miserable all the time, what's the point? So I try to make it fun. I try to make it enjoyable. And in my free time, honestly, yeah, I check Twitter and social media, but I like to listen to like MMA stuff and sports stuff and work out. So, I'm not trying to be everyone's entire worldview. It's just, I'm one person, one take. If you like it, appreciate it. If not, it is what it is. Do I talk to myself? Like, I guess technically I'm talking to myself now, but do I sit against the wall and talk to myself? No, I'm not that type of person. But God bless you guys. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. Check the comment section or the description on YouTube or Facebook to become a member on Patreon or Facebook. Thank you guys so much for that. And we'll see what this year has in store. But those are the stories of the day. And I found the first two just like hilarious. I wouldn't have covered them if I didn't get a laugh out of it. I was like, is this going anywhere? I have no idea, but it's definitely could get a laugh or two. Have a good one.